And we are live. Welcome, everyone, to the Connected for Real podcast. I am Rebbetzin Bat-Chen Grossman. I'm a marriage coach for God-centered women in marriage, in business. And this is Daniella. She is going to introduce herself. She is super awesome. Go.
You're so sweet, Rebbetzin Bat-Chen. Thank you for having me. I'm Daniella Rudoff, and I'm the marriage architect. I'm a marriage educator and became dating coach and matchmaker, and through a lot of people asking me to set them up, and it's really awesome stuff. So I really enjoy it, and I have a really amazing network of people, and dating coaching is part of what I do as well. So it's really cool stuff. Like even like when I set a couple up, I make sure to be there through the dating process to make sure that they're really a happy couple, getting, progressing in their dating together and then becoming, more and more serious in the relationship. But I'm there for the foundation to make sure that it's a good couple. So paving the way for that awesome marriage.
I love that. I think it's really important to give them the tools and set the stage for them to have a good marriage.
Yes. Yeah.
My husband just came home, so this is fun. Okay. So first of all, the best way to know somebody is under stress. And for the last half hour, we've had technical issues. And it's awesome to see what a great husband you are and how devoted he is to making sure
He's amazing. He's amazing. It was funny because when this was all happening right beforehand, we were having technical difficulties. And I was thinking, Godson gets to see exactly right now my, stressful situation and how we handle it. So thank God.
Behind the scenes.
Yeah, exactly. So thank God. He's great. And that's really actually why I went into this work, because I felt like if I'm able to understand how to have, thank God, Leah and her, to have an amazing marriage, I want to be able to educate others of how to have that. So, and I'm sure you also do the same, so it's wonderful. And it really, a lot of it is based on skills and education. And of course, chemistry. So, there's no doubt.
I want to talk about the business aspect of it, because my specialty is, marriage for women in business. And I'll tell you why. Because I married a rabbi. I mean, he wasn't a rabbi at the time, but that was the goal. He was already learning to be a rabbi. And I was very committed to making sure that he finishes and that he actually continues on his way to doing what he was meant to do. So I was a graphic designer for the first 15 years until I switched over to marriage coach. And I grew and grew and grew. I worked on Fifth Avenue and I worked in Jerusalem for like the top graphic designer. Everywhere I went, I was always trying to really be tops because that's just my personality. And the more I grew, the more resentful, I guess, I got, because in my head, he was jealous. He was not supportive. He was whatever, but really he wasn't. It was just all the way that I was thinking it, because I was projecting. I guess I was normal and reacting from a lot of the, the things that we hear, and a lot of what I heard was, if you get too successful, then it will affect your marriage. And you see all these women who make it to $1 million and then they get divorced like soon after. And so that was a little bit of a tint on my story. And then I didn't really have who to turn to except like mentors and people, people I turned to for regular things, but there wasn't anybody who was specializing in this. And then once I had my sixth baby, I realized this is exactly what I need to do. I need to help people get over this hump, because it stops you from growing your business and it stops you from investing in your marriage. And they're constantly fighting each other if you don't align them correctly.
Right.
So now I want to hear from you. I gave you all that so that you know where I stand. That's now I want to hear from you
that's how that affects. Cool. It's a great way of getting to your niche, meaning that you had to navigate this in your life in order to see what you wanted to do. That like your niche. And I totally agree with you that can really stand in someone's way. Anything, any challenge that someone has and something that's bothering them, it could just, block their progress because it's limiting them, and their limiting beliefs. So,
Yes.
and I think that stands for anything, let's say in the dating world, directly to answer your question about women specifically being successful in business, but also really, like I just said, any challenge that they feel they're having, it really can stand in the way unless it's fully discussed and worked through with their mentors, with a coach, whatever it is, or themselves, of course. But specifically about women, there are a lot of successful women out there. Yay! We're very proud, very happy about that.
I explained that as being part of the generation of the redemption. The women were always in the back and they were always the ones that were behind the scenes. And there's something about this generation that the women are going to make that big consciousness decision change, where instead of being in this like survival mode and low consciousness that we've been through, we're sort of just getting there to the next level, and that is being done by all these amazing women who are working.
Yes, absolutely. And it's also an education to the men because I think actually some men really like it, I have to say, because I have deep conversations with each person who comes to meet with me. And many men really like it, and they're not opposed to it. So it's, again, that rumination, that's going on in someone's mind that it might be stopping them or blocking them from dating somebody, from attracting that positive, amazing guy who likes it, right? Like they could be, stopping themselves from having that guy come into their life. Because really, my message is that a lot of men like it. They find it very attractive when a woman is confident that she's successful, when she is achieving success in her business, whether it's the title or whether it's the financially that she's stable. It's not that he wants her money. It's that he is proud of somebody who can accomplish such a thing. So I
want to say something to that because, somebody says, how could you tell your story? Isn't it like, you're talking about your husband in front of everyone. Mm-hmm. It's like, no, I'm not. I'm really talking about myself and what's going on in my head. Because really, the reality was completely not in line with how I was feeling and what I was believing. He was the entire time very supportive. He was the entire time very happy for me. And he was not only supporting me, making me food and taking care of the laundry so that I can work. Like, he's acts of service. So obviously, he's speaking that language of making sure that things run smoothly. But I had to really work on myself and the way that my beliefs were running my thought process and my, my emotions.
I love that. Meaning, I love that you're expressing that and helping so many people understand that, that was about you. And of course, as a marriage coach, you, of course, are going to also discuss, open and clear communication, and to, working on discussing that with your husband so that obviously you're now on the same page together and you obviously realize how proud he is of you and supports you. But in terms of the daters, they don't know their husband yet. So it's a matter of my encouraging and educating, mentoring, coaching, whatever it is that we want to title it, and guiding, but it's also what I do with the men as well, meaning it's both. And, when I discuss with women and also when I discuss with men of how I understand their points of view, their perspective and what type of woman they want to marry. Like if they want that successful type of woman, like they might want a successful type of woman who also is family oriented and they don't know it yet because they're not a mom and wife yet, so a wife and mom yet. So, but of course, when I discuss with people what they're interested in being, then I'll know that. So discussing with men, like you said, it's the redemptive, a generation that we're in, an era. So when I speak to men, I'm actually pleasantly happy to tell you, happy to report that many men are very happy about this, and really to tell all the women out there who have this, hang up, whether they think that that's going to stand in their way. It's not going to stand in their way if they are, I would say, really, if they are family oriented, because the men really want someone usually who's family oriented, because they come to me because they want to really get married. They come to me because they want to get set up on a date with somebody who wants to get married and have a family. So those are the type of people who come to me. Serious people, like that they really want to get married. And really, that's really their own thing, their thing. But when they're dating, what they're also looking at is how much time are they putting aside to go on a date. This is a huge factor. A very successful woman who says, but I have this meeting and that meeting, and I have these friends to see, even though, I don't know if this guy's going to work out. I don't know if I'm going to clear my calendar with my friends. Because if the friends knew that she had a date, they'd probably say, go on the date. We'll make another date to go together with her coffee. But they, understandably, in my opinion, it's understandable. But that's what the guy's looking at. He wants to see, is she making time for family, like to date? Because he wants to progress in getting, dating, seeing this is the right person, dating more, and just developing a relationship. But if she's always busy because she's so used to being successful and, getting to her goals with whatever it is, whether it's business, whether it's social, and, getting together with a bunch of people, but not making time for dating, that's like a sign for the guy, whether it's correct or not, right? We're not saying it's not, we're not saying she doesn't want it, but there are certain things that she can do to show it, to.
So I loved one of the things about my husband when we were going out. He said he had a day that was blocked off, that he's always going to go out on Wednesday. And so if he didn't have a date on Wednesday, then he would use that time to find a date for next Wednesday. But he was so committed to always have time on his calendar to make sure that this goal was being met. And then when I was praying, like, I'm sick of this. Can I just have a guy already? Like, I was dating so much and, so long. And I remember so clearly praying in my room, just saying, God, I am done. Whatever. I'm not picky anymore. I don't care. Just give me the right guy, because I know he exists. And I know that there is something that you custom made and like perfectly altered to fit me. Can you just like get it done with already? Like, I was just done with going out for fun or going out for out. In the beginning, it's fun. You get to go, you get to eat, you get to meet new people. But I was done. So I said, I just want to date on Wednesday. That's what I said.
Oh my gosh! Did you really? Oh my gosh. That is the best story. I love your story. Oh my gosh.
And then it was.
Story? I really just want to know. Can I?
Of course, you could tell the story. And that Sunday, I think it was Saturday night, I prayed or something, whatever. It must have been that, whatever. Sunday, we got 2 phone calls about 2 different guys. Two people called about 2 different guys. One was a total flop because the lady didn't even know his name. She just wanted to call and say she knows someone who has a son who might be good for you. Okay, what's his name? I don't know. I'll find out. Okay, and why do you think this is good? Because he's a guy and you have a girl. Like, it really sounded like that. We were cracking up. But the one after was this guy I went out with, and he set me up with his roommate. Wow. And I am very grateful until this day. But it was so crazy how we ended up going out on Wednesday, because I said, I just want to date on Wednesday. And he was like, he's available on Wednesday. And so we just said, yep.
It was your sign.
Of course, we looked into him because he goes to the same school as my brother. So it was easy to find out that he was a good guy. But it was pretty cool. So yeah, I think that if you want advice, block this in, just like you block in other things. Make sure you have a time that is important to you to show that it's high priority.
Exactly. 100%. It's such a great story. And I love this sign that, oh, he's available on Wednesday. And you're like, I just want a date on Wednesday. I love it. I love it. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. So, I try to remind people to make time to date, even, whoever we're talking about their work schedule, we're talking about, things that are important to them. And it's okay. So when do you have time to date? Like I'll say to a person, when do you have time to date? When I'm first meeting them, because it's sometimes an issue. Like I just started to set up a couple and I wrote to her, not sure where it's going yet, but, I just wanted to let you know. She goes, that's great. Thank you so much. But I hope it's not a problem. I'm leaving town for 3 weeks. I'm like, oh no. So these are things that I have to deal with. People don't realize that are behind the scenes. It's making time to date. And understandably, someone has a trip, but it does sometimes come in the way, so it's
of course.
Yeah.
I think that something I want to double tap on right now is we do talk about confidence. When a woman is confident of what she's doing and how this is what she loves to do, or what, this is what I've committed to, then there's a certain aura about it. And when she's like doing it because she feels like she has to, or she's not sure and she's trying to figure it out and she's throwing spaghetti on the wall and, there's this like iffy thing going on, you feel it, it.
Yes, totally.
And so we could tell, the guy can tell too, it's something that it doesn't feel right.
Yeah. People don't realize how attractive confidence is. It's very attractive. And that's, one of the things that I suggest to people is to, like you were saying, it's a muscle that your husband did he was working his muscle of making time to meet on Wednesdays. That's a muscle. When we say good morning, even if their earbuds are in, you said your good morning to somebody because that's the muscle of being kind and nice to people. And sometimes you're like, wait, why did I say hi? Why did I take my breath, to go say hi to somebody? But it's my muscle I'm working. I'm working on myself. So the idea that I say to people is, let's say, working on confidence, working on manners, working on different things that are going to offer you a successful life, right? That's something I can do right now that will help me once I have my date. It will help me with my confidence. All these things will, I can work on them today. Like people say, oh, but I don't have a date, but you can do things to help you yourself for when you have the date that you'll be successful. And I think that's key in what we call hishtadlut, what we call effort, right? We have to be working towards our goals all the time, every person. So every person, it could be someone who's married and has their goals, right? Whether it's professional, family, anything with their, whatever it is, but she could be playing guitar, and working on her goal towards being a better guitarist, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to practice, going to the gym, you have to go and work out in order to get the benefits of it. So it's the same thing, like you're saying with confidence. I 100% agree. But sometimes people need somebody else to teach them that they're really good enough to feel confident. Like sometimes they need a cheerleader. Everyone needs cheerleaders, like whether it's their family, their friends. Please God, when they're married, their spouse will be their best cheerleader, right? So that's confidence is extremely attractive, but sometimes people have to listen to other people to believe them that they really, let's say if someone gives you a compliment, how special you are, they can't say, no. They can say, thank you. Right. And then let them build their confidence. And that's so important. Let's say a person who's dating to feel confident, obviously not overly confident where it's not attractive, but it's confident. And then it's helpful to them in the dating process. Like you said, like the guy can read right through a person who's not confident, as the women also could read right through the man who's not confident. It's both ways. Right.
So I want to talk about the prerequisite to confidence, because you hit it on the nail. You're like, what if I'm not confident? Right? That was the question you said. Like, what if I'm not confident? How do I work it out? And you said it's a muscle. You just keep trying and keep doing it and you will get there. But the prerequisite to confidence is courage. and the courage to say the truth of where you really are and what you're struggling with and what you could use help with, or where I am right now, as opposed to people who are like, oh, I'm the super, I'm doing great, don't worry about it, and then inside they're like isolated and feeling so lonely, so whatever it is that they're feeling, and they're just hiding it. That's not really going to get you where you want to go. There's this courage to say the truth about where you're standing and where you are. So if you are successful, then it takes courage to actually say, because it's scary to be successful. When you're not as successful as you want to be, you could say that, like, here is where I am now, I'm working towards this goal, and I don't know, maybe you have ideas for me. Be open, be honest, be excited about where you are. It's so it builds up the confidence because you jumped
Yes.
into something.
And the happiness.
Yes.
And the positive. Because it's true that a person can always be trying for more of whatever it is that they're at, hopefully towards positive, more confidence, more everything in terms of, within the right comfort level. I mean, within the correct amount of confidence. I don't want to be, misunderstood. But you're right. Like, they have to have this honesty with themselves of where they stand. But at the same time, they could always be, I think that it's recognized, like, to be happy right now with what, and again, it's by deriving and learning maybe from a coach, or maybe from their peers, maybe from their family, but also being in that happier because it's not like, it's we're humans, so we're always going up and down, but at the same time to be able to attract even more positive, and to be able to attract even more confidence in a way that, like, I know I'm doing good things, or I know I'm at a good place, or I need to learn more, like you were saying, like, I need to work on this muscle. I need to work on this muscle, but I'm doing well. Yeah.
I like that. So what do you think is the, we titled it Building God-Centered Homes, and that's what I'm all about. That's my deepest why, is that I want God's presence in home,
Right.
in my home, in your home, and its home.
Right.
Like, how do you see that with your work?
Okay, well, first of all, I personally have a God-centered life. I pray every day in the mornings and afternoons, and try to bring God into my life on a personal level, not just on a professional level. I work with people who are religious and not religious, whether you want to call that. I don't necessarily think that that's either God-centered or not God-centered. I do think they're all God-centered. Yes.
I was gonna say that is how my grandfather, he always said, I don't care how religious anybody is, it's either you have God in your life or you don't. And that is
right.
Very, a very good description.
Barometer. It's a meter. It's a good concept. I also grew up that way, in terms of my parents always welcoming everybody into our homes of every kind of background, and I love that. And I'm just prefacing so people know who I work with. They're Jewish singles, though. I do work with Jewish singles. So how do I see that in my work? Well, I work very individually with people most of the time. And then sometimes I give seminars, like this coming Sunday, I'll be giving a dating seminar and a marriage ed for engaged couples, and a marriage ed for newly married couples, first year. I'm an educator, so that's like innate inside of me. So, like, God-centered in that way as well. Like, I'm always educating, but with that kind of concept where Hashem runs the world, God runs the world. And especially with everything that I'm doing, right? Like, everything about the education, but everything about matchmaking, I have to, like, be accepting of God's will, that I can't make sure this woman stays in this city because I have this great idea that they should meet, So, I don't control the world.
You mean to say you are not in control?
Right. It's a very hard work, when you're always trying on ideas. And I'm not, I, of course know that on a personal level, but on a professional level, bringing that together you have to work on it. Like my mindset, me personally, and I have to educate the people who work with me as well to understand where I fit, where Daniella Rudoff fits into this picture. I'm here to meet with each person. And then afterwards, whatever happens, I'm doing my best to help them, when I have an idea of someone in my network or someone outside who's coming to my network soon, if they want to work more privately with me and do proactive, which means a VIP service where I'm searching for them, that's a whole other level. It's a whole other kind of service. But then it's a daily kind of service with them, which is great. They've asked for it. Like people in my network have asked for it, and amazing things have happened through it as well. So in terms of God-centered in my life, in terms of my professional world, it's daily, it's every second. It's like it's of course. And when a couple says to me, thank you, and I say immediately, thank God. And it's my pleasure and my honor that I have the merit of this chut to be able to be the person to facilitate this match. I mean, to me, a lot of people remind me, but you have the skills, you've worked on yourself to be able to do this type of thing. But yes, that's true. I feel like God put me in this position and gave me the kind of background that I have and the kind of education that I have and the kind of personality that I have to work with people and the years of teaching to work with individuals. But it is, of course, to me, and I try to state it because I want people to know it, that it's really God who's running this world and running everything that I'm doing. And yes, I can take certain kinds of credit because I'm putting the efforts, right? I'm doing that muscle, right? I'm putting in the efforts and thinking for people and trying ideas and everything. But so I could take that kind of credit, but I feel like God is I know that God is the one who is arranging for things to happen.
With matchmaking, one of the most amazing things is that he first has to, sometimes you have to connect to other people in order to connect to the one you're going to marry. So just them meeting you is already like, whoo, what a match made in heaven. And then for the other person to meet you, and then for you to put them together, like it actually took a lot of creative design on God's part to get everybody connected in the right place, in the right time, and everything is so exact. It's, sometimes we are the messengers and the vessel for certain things, but in order for you to meet us, you also have a matchmaking type of thing going on,
Exactly. So people will say to me, so how do I know that you have my type? Because I meet with all types, I said, if the fact that 12 have happened through me just with the matchmaking, because there are a lot of people who've come to meet with me and then I've mentored them to be able to get married, meaning like they event like soon after or immediate or a little bit, like a guy of 40 years old told me, this past week that he's ready to marry one of the people he's dating. And he said, it's all because of you, and I'm like, thank God. Like, he's like, yeah, you taught me the communication skills I need. You taught me gave him confidence, like whatever it is. And now he wants me to be his coach for life, so it's great. I love it. He's amazing. He's really amazing. I work with amazing people, like people who value making their lives better and making get to their goals. So they value the work that we do together. And that to me is precious. It's special. It's a godsend.
I love that. You know how you said you were working with the dating, the engaged, and the first year married. I love the later year married,
Yes.
I'm fascinated by somebody being able to be married for all these years, or have a whole history and a whole journey and a whole thing. And then, most of my clients, they have good marriages. And then we take it to the next level and you see them just open up to this completely new level of marriage. It's like, how did you do that? You're so young, you wouldn't get it, but I got it. I was able to understand what you need, not what I need.
Right.
It's so amazing.
It is beautiful. It really is.
I love what you said about how would you know, how would you have my type, or how do you know you have my type? everybody thinks they're, a certain type, but really, like you said, if you're committed to yourself, then that's the type you want. Somebody who's committed to themselves. So if you're going to put, and it takes a lot of courage to commit to yourself. And I know,
Yes.
because it was very scary to take a decision and actually move forward, especially when it costs money or when you actually have to put
Yes.
something on the line, you know. If you do it, you will suddenly start meeting people who do it too. And then it's going to change your life.
Yes. And that's what not everyone understands. Not everyone gets that. And ever since I started doing this the way I handle it, I've started to appreciate it as well in my life, and seeing the value when I'm paying somebody to do any kind of service with my kids or it's for myself. It's not like, oh, how can I get a good deal? It's yes. Like, I want to pay for this because I know it's good for me to grow and develop. Like, this is going to get me to my goals. And it's something that I also developed in my life and learned. It's not something, and I see it in the types of people who come to me. Like, it's a certain level of person. And it's not that they necessarily, it depends on the person. If they have money, if they don't have money, it's not the point that they prioritize that this is important to them. And there's something very spiritual that goes on with that as well. It's something that I learned that from Leah Aharoni. She actually taught this to me. That when someone spends money on themselves, the Zohar says, I didn't see it inside myself, but the Zohar says that you're saying, Hashem, God, this is important to me. I'm working on this. So whether it's through Daniella Rudoff who sets me up or someone else sets me up, I'm showing my effort towards this goal. And then God helps you to this goal in a different way, maybe, than if you didn't spend money on this goal. So I've learned that in my life also by spending money on whether it's business mentors or whatever kind of coaches that I have, because I respect it and I see it and I see a difference in who I am today. So it's
So first of all, I'm smiling because Leah Aroni was a guest on my podcast, and we had a fascinating and very active. The audience was all over it. The comments were going woof woof woof, and I had no idea what was going on. I was like trying to tell her what the comments were saying, but she was live with me, and it is such a pleasure because I just came back from her retreat. She did a retreat recently, and it was really, really nice. So I agree. There's something really special that happens when you commit. And you said if you have money or you don't have money. I took a loan in order to do business coaching because I knew that that's what God wants me to do.
Interesting.
And
I agree.
How do you know? I asked. And if you want to know how you ask and get the answers, then come to my retreat. I'm doing a virtual retreat in November 8th, and we talk about that.
Beautiful.
And
excellent.
But it's mind-blowing how things blow up when you finally take a step, when you finally make a decision, and you stop being in that mind space of like, I don't know, because God is the one who sends the money. So if this is what you want, then show me how to do it.
Right. Yeah. And what I'm saying it again, is that the person is, let's say in my case, they come for a meeting and they pay a meeting fee and I happen to do everything else afterwards for free till there's an engagement. So they're not even paying for all that unless they're proactive and then I'm working daily with them. But I remind them, or know that it's not necessarily, I want to be the one to set them up. I mean, if anybody understands me as a person and knows me, I want to be the one to set it up, but I'm not in charge, right? So I will do everything I can to set this person up. But what I remember, and I try to remind them, is that Hashem, God, is the one who arranges. So even if they put that money towards Daniella Rudoff, really they put it towards matchmaking. Really, they put it towards this effort. And however God wants it to happen, I have to remember, I'm reminding myself as well, that it can happen in any which way. And that's usually my blessing to each person who comes to me, is that they meet their spouse. However, of course, I want to be the one to set it up, but we have to understand that, please God, they should meet them soon in whatever way God wants them to. So that's, you asked me how I bring God into this. I think you see it's very prevalent in my life, because you have to have a mindset, at least in the way I work is, that if this, if 12 happened through me, through the immense, like the diverse crowd that I have. Of course, I have a lot of one type and a lot of another type and a lot of another in age ranges and in the States and here in Israel, of course, but to think that 12 came out of that, that's insane. If you really think about statistically that happening, and many more to come, because it's one person has to come first and the next person has to come second. And that's exciting to me each time I meet somebody that maybe there was for somebody in my network already, but maybe we have to wait for somebody in the future. So anyway, it's like a whole thing that I learned because I didn't plan on doing this. This was something that came into my life after I became a marriage educator, and I called myself marriage architect because I was designing marriages through education. So it's
so you stumbled on this dating thing. I thought you started with dating.
Not at all. I was a Jewish studies teacher in America for 10 years. I have my bachelor's and master's in Jewish education from YU. And then I went back to school here in Israel for marriage education at Yeshiva University. So it was not a plan of mine at all. And then 3 years after I became a marriage educator, people started asking me to set them up. And not one person, not your 5 best friends. And everybody's trying to set up their best friends or their children. This was 100 people in 9 months, speaking to each person for free for an hour and a half to 2 hours. When I realized it took over my life, that's when I needed to try to set up a business model that would work for me as well, not just feel like a schmata, like a rag, from helping everybody, and then having to pay, go to the store and go, well, I set people up, so it doesn't work.
I want to talk about what you just said now. I had to make it into a business model that works. I think that makes it more powerful. It's very empowering for other women they think they have to give, and they think that they have to do everything for free because that's the nicest thing and whatever. But how many of the matches did you make out of the 12 when you were doing it for free? And how many is it when you were working, for money? There's
Zero happened for free.
Exactly. Because there's just a limited amount of your resources that you can put into something that God put you here to do. And when you make it a business, you're committing to doing this, and it changes everything.
Right.
One of the hardest things for me was to charge I'm a Rebbetzin, good.
My husband works in computers, but he's a rabbi too. Yes. So.
My parents are, my father's a rabbi, my mother's a Rebbetzin. She was always doing everything for free because it was part of the job description. But it was so clear to me that I had to do something different than what I was used to,
I'm so happy that you're saying this. It's great. I also had such a hard time charging for years, literally had a hard time.
You feel so guilty.
Such a little amount of money in the beginning, and then realize I still can't deal it like this. And due to proactive, I can continue even with the amount I'm charging today. Life costs money. It's not like everybody who you're setting up says, "Oh, I want to pay for this for you, and I want to pay for this for you." It's like it's also that people don't realize, because what happens also, people set a lot of people up for free, which is beautiful. I think it's really beautiful that people care, but they're doing it usually, not always, but usually for their people that they know, right? They're not doing it for people who they never met in their life and now are part of their life. You know what I'm saying? And the people who do it that way, where they're doing a lot of people for, let's say, for free, but they're putting their information out there and putting their pictures out there, and it's very public. So everybody else is doing the work for them, which is also beautiful. But my way of doing it is very private. It's very, I'm not sharing everybody's information, and it's like maintaining privacy for people, and maybe somewhere else they're being posted, but for me, the way I'm handling it is very private work. It's just my way of handling it. And sometimes I question whether I'm doing it the right way or not. And then I get, recentered, like on ways, recenter, I just had a conversation with my daughter this morning. I'm like, should I be putting it out there? And she's like, no, you're doing it the right way. Not everyone wants to be posted out there, doesn't mean it's not right for everyone. I'm not trying to put anybody else down, but meaning other people don't realize how much work goes into this methodology of working. in terms of private work. And, it's a different method. So and there's a lot of time involved and a lot of thought process involved and making sure that they're the right type for each other. It's not just like you said, that other story where it's just a guy and a girl. It's not that, So I think people appreciate the kind of work that I do when I can. And I think that that's part of it too, that they know that I'm thinking for them when I can, like have a good idea for them. So it's that's the kind of relationship I need to have with each person in my network. And if they don't have that, like, then it's not a good match for us to work together. So
I think what you're saying is value. When you take yourself seriously, then you can give more value. When you charge, then you can really change people's lives. When this is a hobby, then it's not necessarily going to be done to its utmost energy and time and whatever. So
I'm not trying to put anybody else down, but this happens to be, for me personally, it has to work for me, in the way I do.
We all do different things. Like I'm a marriage coach and you're technically a marriage coach, and we're doing different things and have different systems. And it's awesome because there's so many people out there and each one has to find the right person for them. I told my coach, I said, my first one, Debbie Sasson, who I love. She's amazing. Who is, hi Debbie, who is, who needs me? There's so many Rebbetzins out there. It's like the people who need you, right? So it's, when you say 12 couples, people don't think, but it's 24 people. It's
right.
It's a lot of lives that you're changing, and it's phenomenal. And by the way, I also wanted, I know we're running out of time, but I also wanted 15 babies. Woo!
So far. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Thank God. You pulled me off. I can't think of the question I had. Yeah, I know. I can't think of the question I had.
Sorry.
He distracted me. Baby distracts. Anybody listening on the podcast, go and look in the Instagram for baby pictures because it's just so fun. Very distracting.
Yes, and there are 15 of those from Marriage Architects. They're very cute. Just put it into the conversation. It's really amazing. The whole thing of working with people in terms of having awesome marriages, what you do, and technically what I'm doing as well. It's
There we go. I'm listening. I'm just putting.
I'm just enjoying that you are working with people to make sure they have the next level up of an awesome marriage. And essentially that's, thank God, what I've been trying to do from the dating level, because it was brought into my life, right? Like it wasn't my original plan. My original plan was to do marriage education and teach couples and teach couples together how to have an awesome marriage with the communication skills and relationship building skills. But what ended up happening, because of the route that God brought to me, really the clients, they just all kept, meaning people in my network, they just kept coming and coming and coming. So this all developed. And what I like to really tell people is I'm an educator, and that's what they're getting together with anything that they have anything to do with me. It may not be outright like formal education, but it's that understanding of people and educating and mentoring and making guidance and making sure that they're happy. Like, to me, it's really important that they're happy, that they have that chemistry, not one person, but both of them, the woman and the man, because I've had that. My relationship is individually with each of them. And then making sure from both sides, let's say before and after a date, and, going to the next date, and making sure they're really happy, but helping them with skills if they need it. Some of them may not need it, but go back to confidence. The confidence building, he had a great time. And then she's like, oh, wow, he had a great time. I can act more confidently on that date, right? Because she knows he had a great time. It's not that she thinks he had a great time. It's not she's not sure. She knows. So, and then if I say, oh, yeah, she also said it was great, that she had a good time or whatever, and he's like feeling good, that's like a maximized date, because the second date then is they're both feeling that confidence and they both can express themselves more fully and understand that at least that during that first experience they had together of that first date, that they liked each other. Now, we're not saying it's going from second date to third date, but at least that second date has more confidence. Of course, if they both had a good time on the first date. I'm not the type to like beef anything up. You know, if someone says, oh, I had an amazing time, I might say, oh, I had a good time. He had a good time, or she had a good time. Like, I'd like more of the opposite, because I don't want them to be more. I don't like to like make things more than they are, and I just more like neutral, just to make sure that, you know, they get some sort of feedback, if there is feedback, but you would appreciate this, because as a marriage educator, you need those foundations from the very start. That first time that they interact, the first date, the first conversations are founding blocks for their marriage if they get married. So we don't know if they're getting married. So every first date has to have these foundational skills, foundational blocks. And it goes back to the beginning of our conversation. That's what each person can do when they're not even dating yet, is to work on their confidence, to work on their skills, work on, saying hello to people, because that makes them a nicer person. Work on, picking up a cup from the floor when it falls on the floor, because, outdoors, because that makes them a nicer, more generous person for the, environment, not say I do that every single time, but like these types of things that we do, just going to the gym, and, I do weight training and strength training. We have to build our muscles. Whether if I don't do it, no one else is going to do it for me. So
okay, so I have, from everything you're saying, what I'm taking is that dating, and this is what I tell people also, is a journey. And if you don't learn something the first time, then you're going to have to learn it again until you get it, until you understand what was it I was supposed to learn. Then you can get to the next level, right? So I feel like that's that's with business. You're going to keep banging into the same wall until you learn what you needed to learn. And most of the learning is not about business. It's about, what do you want from me, God? Like, it's about the reason why we're here, to connect to God and to know that we're here for a purpose. So when you look at dating as a journey and not as the destination, like, the goal isn't necessarily I have to be married by the time I'm done working with Daniella. It's more like, I'm going to make sure that I become a better person, that I am more confident, that I find myself and what I'm here to do. And then, as a side effect, you also became ready to get married, and you also became a person who's capable of containing a husband or a wife, for that matter.
Yes. And of course, there are other things to work on as well, but I think that it's a major piece of it. And and I think that that's the attitude that people generally have when they come to meet with me. But it needs to be like, I have an email that goes out to explain certain things about what to expect, of working together with me. But it's the type of person that signs up that understands that. Meaning it's a combination, so it's and it's really just a meeting, but it's not just a meeting. It's for some people transformational, just one meeting, and sometimes
I became a different person when I signed up for the recent business coaching that I'm in. So I did Debbie Sasson, I did Ozzy Jankovic. Like, I love all these things. I think that if you are part of a community and you're part of growth and you're part of, this is just the best way to do business. So I
also together with Ozzy and Natalie Garson, and I'm friendly with Debbie, but not, maybe one day I'll work with her. But I totally am a different person because of it, and that's what I understand.
Right. In January, when I signed up for the 1-year program that I'm in, I became a leader before I even stepped foot into the program, just by signing up. I felt the change in myself. I felt that pain of, I'm shedding something by signing up. I'm actually pressing the button.
Yes, I totally agree. And every time I pay my monthly payment, I'm like, this is a growing experience. I value what I'm gaining, and I'm becoming, my mother tells me I'm a different person than I used to be. It's outwardly, and I'm able to see. But that's what we're also giving the people who work with us. We're giving them a different level.
Right. So how can people find you, and how do you tell us about
Sure.
where we can.
So I'm on Facebook, Daniella Rudoff, and also Marriage Architect. But I'm more on Daniella Rudoff page, and marriagearchitect.com is my website, and marriagearchitect@gmail.com for right now is my email address. Working into growing G Suite, etc. But we will do that soon. But in the meantime, that's how to be in touch with me. A lot of people, and then send me your email address, and I'll send you an email of how I do things. And I have these 3 seminars on Sunday, October 31st. I have to register, but it's a gift from me, which is really nice. It's life-changing for people. Even if they come out with one new thing that could change their life. Daters, engaged couples, and newly married couples. And people work with me for dating coaching and meeting to get set up, and proactive VIP, where I actually, take it to the next level and do the coaching and searching and networking and setting people up and meeting the people that they're going to date. It's a very high touch service. So it's great because great things are happening from it. So
that's amazing. I love that. Don't forget to sign up for my marriage breakthrough retreat. Yes,
it's wonderful.
It's a 7-day virtual retreat where you go on Zoom for an hour every day, and every day there's another topic that we cover. And I teach my method called the CALM method. So CALM, which is connect to yourself, ask for abundance, listen for the answers, and master a higher level of consciousness. And then we talk about intimacy on day 5 and how to design your home so that it feels more aligned on day 6. It's so epic. I cannot describe to you how awesome it is. And it's completely free. I don't know why anybody would give this up. Yes.
Wow.
Because when I asked God what to do, that was what the answer was. It was give it all and don't hold anything back. So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I kind of feel similar in what I decided to give these 3 seminars for free. Asked, and this was
exactly. There's such clarity that you just do it, just give it. People need to hear these things. So it's ConnectedForReal.com/retreat, and
I'm going to head over there and gain from your amazingness. You are amazing. You should know. I'm telling you, you're amazing, and I'm so impressed by all the work you're doing. And people are just so lucky to work with you. Sure, I'm just listening to you, and whatever I see on Facebook here and there, whatever I'm lucky to see your work. Honored to work together with you on this show, on your live, for what you're doing, and you're helping people live on the live.
So. Thank God. Thank you so much. That feels so nice to hear. Thank you.
And it's really amazing. I also have 7 kids, and my youngest is 11 now, but I feel like I've been doing what you're doing. When I saw you before this all started, meaning before when we were having the tech stuff, you had your kids around, and I was like, yeah, that was me with all the little kids around. And now my daughter had a baby, so now I have a little baby to hold also. So they're around the same age.
Yeah,
but really, I want to just say to your audience that being that I do it as well with kids, and you can work and have children at the same time and do amazing things in the world. And I see you're doing that. It's you're even a stronger person from it. And of course it's hard. No one's saying it's not hard, but kol hakavod to you, that all my hats off to you, and really continue having the strength to give to your children, yourself, your husband, and to all of everyone who wants to learn from you.
Thank you. I want to say something to that, in regards to dating before we close, because you hit something. I think that, some guys worry like, oh, she's so into her work and what she's doing that what is going to be when she becomes a mother. But there's something that changes inside you that allows for both to work.
Yes.
And it's phenomenal how suddenly you can do less and have more results. And sometimes you can adjust the things that you're doing and suddenly you have more time. There's magic that happens when you are able to just go with what life brings and what God wants.
Totally. I taught for 10 years in America. I had 5 kids through those 10 years of teaching and just kept going. I mean, I was nauseous through every pregnancy, but I came to the classroom, I'm great. And, go to the bathroom and, throw. So, it's God gives you a certain strength, but you have to do it. In other words, it's your hishtadlut, the same efforts that we talked about before. Superwoman, yes, but you have to have super husband to make that happen. So,
what did you say? I didn't hear what the last.
You have to have super husbands to help that happen.
Yes.
Yes.
So, I can say so much about that because all husbands are super husbands if you can tap into it, and we can have a whole discussion on that.
Yes, and we can. We should one time because
we
I think
definitely should.
Yes. So I really appreciate being here today with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much to Daniella, and thank you to all my children for cooperating. Mostly,
they were awesome.
They were pretty awesome. Please make sure you go sign up to the ConnectedForReal.com/retreat, where we are going to get into the marriage breakthrough retreat and completely change your life and up level your marriage. And we will see you next time.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Bye, everybody.